First post-game show of the season.
Wow.
The Summer League.
With a W.
With a W. Nobody was more pumped about this than Jimmy.
Couldn't wait.
Than Jimmy Toscano. Actually, Bobby's the most eager. Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby's the most
so
eager
to
when it's time to actually do it, he's nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be found.
And we lost the guy.
Lost, though, Jimmy would be like, this is just getting worse and worse.
Sound the alarms.
Yeah, you would have exaggerated it.
So, again,
I'm still going to exaggerate it. Don't worry about
that. There's no way to do this show without exaggerating or without overreacting, because it's really boring to be like, if the whole premise of like it's just summer league, like it's just spring training, like it's just training camp, we might as well just not have jobs.
Just
or like it's just sports. Like,
it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, or Tristan, it's just the regular season. Like
everything is just random, anyways. And then
so that means we can go crazy.
So who cares
about Yam? Right? We can go nuts because, I mean,
all
end of the floor, he was doing everything.
All we can do is react. So we'll start with. First off, the one thing I'm going to put this out there early. Yeah. We're not talking about Carson Edwards. I will never talk about Carson Edwards. I don't talk about Carson Edwards. I don't do it in the regular season. I will not do it in Vegas Summer League. I won't do it. I don't care. I don't care. If he scored 100 points today, I would skip right to Yam Madar.
What did I text? What did I text you guys? I was like, I honestly can't be bothered with one thing Carson Edwards does, good or bad.
Will not do it.
Good or bad.
Do it. Yeah.
I am glad that he, did his thing today, but we've been down this path.
I'm not though.
I'm not glad. I'm just indifferent. It is what it is.
Because it detracts from everything he does. He's out there to do what? Friggin' heat check it. I don't want to see it. I want to see other people do anything, good or bad. It takes away.
It's funny you say that, John, because when I saw his press conference this week, I was just like I'm watching. I'm just like, dude, okay, we know your specialty and everything, but like, can you like lie to us and be like, I've been kind of thinking about defense, like kind of thinking about other ways to add anything to this team. I mean, he obviously dropped the line like, look, I'm willing to do anything it takes for a role, and I'm willing to do whatever other of those small things. But I've been working on my shooting. Like I feel like he thinks about that.
I'm gonna get mine.
And he's like, man, I can get back to that. Like that wasn't everything happens for a reason type of thing, Like he's still set on that, but we'll see. We'll see.
We will only talk about.
We're only going to talk about not talking about him.
We will only talk about Carson Edwards to tell you that we will not talk about Carson Edwards because it doesn't matter what Carson Edwards does. It will have no impact on the Celtics or Carson Edwards. Really, it just won't.
Right.
But let's start with the. I don't want to start. I'm not even start negative. I'm just going to start with Yam. It's impossible not to have watched this game and be look. This is because we've seen the other guys play. You have a idea. Neesmith, Romeo. We saw a ton of Peyton Pritchard. Okay, of course. We haven't seen Yam. Haven't seen the French guy, and we're going to get his name wrong until somebody tells me. But is it Begarin?
Yep.
That's where we're going with Begarin.
There you go. You nailed it. You've been practicing.
We saw him. So the first takeaways. Yam looked like we always use the thing when we don't know about people. If you brought an alien down and they said, "Here's basketball, watch it," and who would they say? And having never seen anything, having no idea when people were drafted or who they are, and said, "Who's the best player out here?" It's hard watching that first half to not have had your eyes drawn to Yam Madar just in terms of what he did. So, guys, observations on what you saw, but I mean. Yeah, he's skinny as hell, but his shot looks good. He's twitchy and he's confident. Like he knows where he's going out there, and that's kind of what you wanted to see there. So what did you guys think?
I think that's the best word, honestly. It was confidence. I saw energy on both ends. I mean, he's picking guys up from full court. And obviously you sort of expect that. It's the very first game in Summer League. He's coming from overseas. He's obviously been talking the talk in the sense that he has a lot to prove, and he's not planning on going back. His mission is to make this team. So you expect that sort of energy. But
he made it. Done. He made the team. You're on. Carson's out. Nice job.
You know what? He seemed like to be one of those guys who was like, look, I'm not here. Well, I'm here to not only prove myself, but I'm here to lead these guys. Like, I'm going to show you on another level. And I felt like it translated on both ends of the floor in the sense of whether he was looking for guys for open looks, attacking, and then on the defensive end, up in everyone's faces, and even going for, rebounds on both ends of the floor. I thought that was interesting. His effort he just seemed like a magnet, in terms of that basketball. And he seemed to find a way to sort of get around it every single time while he was out there.
Yeah, kind of long. He gets his arms and hands around there. Quick. I liked what I saw in the limited amount that I saw. I didn't see the very beginning of the game hand up, so I did miss the initial Yam
Miss
shot.
that little spin move reverse, yeah.
Yeah, I did see the highlight of it, but I didn't see it live, so that's on me. But I did, watch the rest of the game, and I do agree with John that he was a player that just kind of stood out. He was kind of playing at just sort of a different, maybe, I'm not going to say different level. It wasn't like he stood out that much, but different sort of energy to him, little, I guess, hop in his step. So, it was good to see because all we had was that, YouTube clips. And again, that's why I judge every player is on YouTube videos, but it was good to get a little live action view of him today. I think he's definitely good enough to make this roster. Certainly he played harder than a lot of his teammates did today. And guys listen, it's Summer League, but you're looking for a little sign of life out of some of these guys, the Romeos, the Neesmiths, and put it
Not
this way,
even life. You want
I'm
these
still
guys to
looking.
dominate.
I'm still looking. I know. I would love them to dominate, but at this point, I'm so low. I'm so low on what I expect. My expectations are so low that I just want to see them show a sign of life out there.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
so
the
you
number
saw
one
the life
takeaway.
late. Yeah. Pritchard's life came on pretty late.
Pritchard
he didn't hit a shot
did.
inside the arc. I thought he had an all right game. Romeo in particular was the one we looked at, and you would have to think at this point, I know he hasn't played a ton in regular season basketball, but this guy has played a playoff series now. He has been part of the rotation when he's been healthy in the NBA. It's his third season. You would want to see him playing at a level where you just say, all right, sit down at halftime. You just blown everybody away. There's no real use to this. Instead, all of these guys are out there in the fourth quarter. I know it's a close game and there is some.
It's not a big roster. It's not a big roster.
Yeah. So there's other reasons that.
But those guys aren't good enough to sit.
Reasons. If they were, they would be.
Well, but they're not.
We've seen.
Well, that's the concern here, is that these are guys that are going to be relied upon in the rotation, and they're not able to dominate summer.
That's the number one takeaway. So, but this is where we're stuck a little. Is yes, you want to see them dominate, but you're also, and you want to see them blow by people. That's just not their thing per se. But you do want to see a level where it's clear.
Drain shots. Just drain shots.
I don't even care about if they make them. I want to be able to walk and say that guy's better than that guy. I want to see good looks. I would rather see Romeo take it to the rim, break a guy down, break his ankles, pull up for a jumper and miss it, than hit a contested three. That's fine. Good. I don't mind that it's good that you hit it. But I want to see him look like he's better than the people out there. And you want to see so between us, you're looking at Romeo and thinking that. I do think, right or wrong, or whether he's given the benefit of the doubt. And they told a little anecdote late in the game there when they were talking about Romeo's press conference about him going. In print, it reads they asked me if I wanted to go and I went. But the reality was they kind of told me I had to go, but I didn't really want to. He's got a too cool for school sort of attitude.
Yeah, but he sort of added it to the end too. He was just like, I want to go. I wanted to go.
Yeah, I want it. I'm in. I'll do this. This sounds fun. Let's do it.
I think some of that is genuine, John. I think some of it is. But the thing with me, with Romeo on offense that bothered me a bit was sort of I felt like he was just going through the motions. I felt like he was looking at his options and just I'm just going to take a pull-up jump shot here. Oh, yeah, I guess I could attack, but let's see if I can just make this three-pointer here. I could see his thought process, and I didn't like it. I felt like he was just sort of going with the easier options. And listen, it is the very first game of Summer League, but to your point, Romeo, he didn't play a whole lot his last two seasons, but we're talking about 50 regular season games, one playoff series. I expected a little more offensively, at least to show a little more of a spark, more energy.
But I do want to say this, okay? And again, I'm not being a Romeo defender. If you asked me, gun to my head, I'm not. If you ask me, gun to my head, is Romeo going to be a productive pro? I'd say no. And honestly, I'd say the same thing for Neesmith. To be honest, if you ask me, what do you think?
Jalen Johnson looked much better.
Because you look at other guys, right, and they look better. So just snap judgments, I don't think so. The reason I'm not bullish on the guys, I'm saying this is the only path to them being a better team is these guys who you're going to count on for minutes have to elevate their games to the point that they're legit rotation players. Because, again, we talked about the talent drop-off. You can't go from Tatum and Brown to Romeo and Neesmith and have the gulf be so frigging wide. It's ridiculous. You can't have it go from, all-star Olympic level talent to G League or Vegas League talent. It's too big a drop off, and it's what's going to kill the team.
Well, that's the context that really hurts you here, is that these guys look like they belong out there, which isn't what you want them to not look like.
You don't want to. You want them to separate.
They look like they're right out there, just like fitting right in among these G Leaguers, overseas guys, rookies in particular, being at the same level of them. A late round pick in Johnson, second round pick in Sharif Cooper, who looked like he fit right in with all these guys throughout much of this game. This was all. No one stood out for much of this game.
That's the thing. If they don't dominate in an obvious way, then you're looking.
Yeah, you're looking for things to point out and grasp to here. I think, and I don't know what you and Josue and Jimmy saw out there, but the one thing I'll give Romeo is that the passing does look a little better. There's some turnovers here, but you can deal with turnovers and trying things and, taking some risk and failing in Summer League ultimately. Pritchard,
my back, sorry,
shooting still looks amazing. Yeah, I was just going off what you were about to say, John.
No, but all I want to say is Romeo had more flashes, okay? In addition, once he pulled back his hair, he hit all his threes.
The threes look good. The passing looked good.
And the passing looked good and the ball handling looked good. He just didn't look like he was locked in every moment. To me, Neesmith still looks like an shop sort of guy where great energy is great, but at a certain point you want to dial back that energy and have a little bit more refinement to his game. I'm still not seeing that. I would have liked to see him a little bit more. I would have liked to see the game slow down for him. I don't like a Vegas Summer League game going too fast for Neesmith in year 2.
One for 8 for 3 too. We thought he got the shot down late last year.
Yeah. And it still looks a little
still running around like a crazy guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy guy. Like, he's so surprised when somebody's there. He turns around and slams into a guy, gets called for a foul. He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, it's basketball. There's guys everywhere, dude.
Right.
They struggled.
The other thing is, it's the first Summer League game. Like, I don't want to get too high or too low about any of these performances. I'd like to, take a overview look of the Summer League once there's a few more games that are played, but I just wasn't like you guys. I wasn't head over heels pumped about any of the current rostered Celtics guys didn't really wow me today, which I was hoping to get maybe a couple wow factors in, but bright spot would be Yam for sure.
No,
who?
Yam.
No, Jan, but I'm talking about
Yam's not even on the roster yet.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about the guys who are on the roster,
he's going to be.
Pritchard, Neesmith. Basically, Pritchard, Neesmith, Romeo. Pritchard did hit those shots. He had that deep shot from right in front of the logo there, so he kind of came on a little bit with that 3-pointer, but didn't really like Bobby alluded to. He didn't really do a whole lot inside that arc today. I don't know. A little bit of a mixed.
I feel like he made a point to show his distance a bit. Like, he's been working on that.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
I mean, that's good. I mean, obviously, you got to be able to hit those 30-footers. So
that would.
I like that.
Even if he's coming off the bench, I think that changes things, or that at least adds a valuable weapon for the Celtics off the bench.
So this is my biggest frustration. I said this to you guys during the game. It doesn't look like Yam's that far off from earning some minutes here. If that's the level that the core guys from last year are at, and this is the level he's at coming in, again, you don't want to overreact to one game, as Jimmy said there, but there's just such an opening among the young core on this team that also reminds me of something I said at the end of last season. If you see some guys out there that maybe have some upside beyond what Romeo and Pritchard and some of these other guys have at this point, maybe just swap them out. At this point, you're just over the tax, so the tax isn't a concern. You're not married to any of these guys ultimately. So if you really like someone over Carson in particular, as you guys throw around all right, who cares about what Carson's doing? They still could, I guess, but up until now, they haven't swapped out Carson for another young player that maybe would fit in better with what they're trying to do here and have some long-term upside or just bring some immediate needs to this team right now. There were quite a number of guys around the NBA, and I guess Chris Dunn could be an example of this that you buy into, hope that there's still some upside there, and give them the opportunities that the Celtics team's going to have. Because if Neesmith, Langford, Pritchard, all these guys don't have a ceiling, and you're about to spend a whole year giving them a bunch of minutes, then this year becomes even more of a waste. So I just wasn't blown away by anything these guys did out there. I was with John. Langford, Neesmith looked exactly the same as they did last year.
And the same is like, again, it's you look around the court, you'd be like, right, you just want to see like, ooh, that all you need is one or two things where it stands out, be like, ooh, that guy,
Yeah.
ooh, look what that guy
You
did.
can
But
tell
they
he's a
don't.
lottery pick or something. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah. You could see the thing that makes the difference there. And again, you'll excuse it for first-year players when they're erratic, but you look for those flashes. But again, a player like Romeo, who's in year 3, and Neesmith year 2, and I know neither of them have had the benefit of a real offseason. But you're right. You do want to see, like, Romeo's a 3-year NBA vet, a third-year NBA veteran, despite the fact that he hasn't played. You definitely want to see him play with a little bit more. But that's the thing is, I honestly think for him, he's like, again, right or wrong, he does have this vibe that it's not beneath him, but he's kind of like, he's not taking it seriously in the sense of like, I'm proving to the organization here at Vegas League that I belong. This isn't like playing for my roster spot. I still think he's going to prove himself more in practice and training camp and exhibition season and into the season where like he might take that a bit more seriously. And this is kind of like, I'm just staying loose and scrimmaging here. So like while our expectations are we're dying to see Romeo take that next level, I don't know that he's approaching Vegas Summer League with that level, with the same level of urgency of a lot of fans and analysts. That's my, and again, it's not just a defense. It's not just excuse making. I really think that that's his mentality. I don't think he's like,
well, it's the wrong mentality.
But the thing is, maybe like what they might say to him is, this is part of your training. Just get loose. Just go out there. have fun.
Right. Just get loose.
He's not playing for a spot here.
No, he's not playing for a spot.
Exactly. Just get loose, but also fit in. Right. I think that's what he's sort of. That's got to be his approach, because at the end of the day, you want to show that you can fit in with these guys and that you're an asset moving forward. But at the same time, he knows if he does anything outside of scoring 20 points or going off, no one's sort of going to be like, oh well, look at that kid Romeo. He's really got it. So I think
like he might still stink. I'm just not like for him. I look at yeah.
Well, no, yeah, I got you. He's trying to fit in, but at the same time, I don't think he has the mindset of being like, I got to go out there and crush it the same way someone like Yam is, because he feels like a lot more is at stake, and there is, for someone like him.
Right. No, there is more like for Yam to prove, I guess, in the fact that he's coming from overseas and he doesn't have a spot on the roster. Or
even Pritchard. Someone like Pritchard, I feel like has a little more to prove.
Yeah, definitely. But I think, at the end of the day,
people here don't agree. People here want to see him aggressive, and
well, that's what I was about to say. Like at the end of the day, these guys are all competitors, athletes. They've been playing competitive basketball since they can remember. I can't imagine they're going out there and just be like, oh, I'm just going to go on cruise control. Like, if you're Romeo, yeah, you're going into your 3rd year, but the first 2 years were a waste, trash, garbage, whatever you want to call it. You had the COVID year in his rookie year, and he barely played, and he was hurt, and then year 2, people literally thought he might have died because they didn't see him for like the first half of the season. This guy is about the most unexperienced 3rd-year player probably in the NBA. So it's not like he should feel like he's earned anything. So if I'm Romeo, I want to go out there and be like, yeah, I don't belong in the summer league team because this is how good I am when I'm fully healthy. And here I go, I'm about to go, murder these dudes on the other team. And instead, it's just kind of like up and down. Yeah, and credit to him, he hit the shot. Don't get me wrong. He did hit the game-winning shot. So we can't hate on him and not mention that. But it's just the fact that he's just so kind of nonchalant out there.
Isn't it funny? Like we can't win, right? We're sitting here coddling Romeo, and he hit the game-winning shot. If this were a regular season game, Romeo hit the game-winning shot, and we spent the whole day killing him, the chat would be like, "Guys, he hit the game winner. What's wrong with you?" Like
it's just not about the It's just not really
I know. It's just funny.
That's why it is funny, and that's why I don't want to not mention it. But it's just it's almost like if you just looked at the box score, if you just watched the highlights, you'd be like, "Oh, Romeo played pretty well," but it's like. He was just kind of like another guy out there, right? Did he really do anything that really stood out to you in the moment where you're like, this guy definitely you can tell he's a 3rd-year NBA player, and he's going to be having 20+ minute a game role on this team. Like I just didn't get that from watching anybody. Neesmith's certainly 1 for 8, was it from 3? This is a guy that you drafted to be a shooter. John's sitting there telling us he doesn't care if he hits a shot. That's literally his job is to hit those shots.
Not don't care, but if he was, to me, for Neesmith,
he's got to hit those shots though.
Absolutely. But to me, for Neesmith, I want to see that he knows where he is on the court way more than I want to see the shots go down. Like, it's great when the shots go down, but Carson hits shots. I don't care. I want to see him like coming off, clear, catch, shoot, all of
Yeah,
that
he wants
stuff.
to have some court awareness for sure.
Just some court awareness. I want to see him get to spots, get that clean look, and just make it easy. He's one of the most effortful players I've ever seen. Everything is so hard. He makes it, some people make it look effortless.
We said that about Tatum and Brown the first couple years. You're like, it just feels like it's so hard for them.
Yeah,
he's trying so hard. And it looks so hard. Like, there's very little fluidity and natural stuff where he's just boom, boom, boom. And like, oh, that was butter, like everything is a bit of a, because he's just so, all over the place. That's what I want to see more than the shot.
And
that is the problem you have with this team to some degree, is that it's a lot of guys like that who need to be set up, aren't exactly the best at getting to their spots themselves and dribbling themselves into shots and all those different kind of things. That's actually what stood out about Yam, is that he kind of got to the places he wanted to on the floor. He was able to set some other guys up, make some nice passes. He had a good left-hand dish out from the low post area. In terms of Pritchard, I know people are going crazy about his game, but he's actually the guy in terms of the focus of what the Celtics wanted to get out of him here in Summer League. They didn't care about him scoring 23 points. We know he can do that. He needs to connect this all a little bit more, make some plays for his teammates. I know he had 5 assists, but overall it was an amazing playmaking game from him for me. He wasn't running a ton of pick and roll. He wasn't getting to the basket. I don't think he hit a single shot inside the arc. So pick and roll was a area of the game where he really struggled last year.
Well, he wasn't getting.
That's why he couldn't be a starter when other guys were out. So even with him in a good game scoring wise, you didn't see the kind of strides and areas where they need him to improve.
I was saying that he was whoever he was being guarded by for most of the first 3 quarters of the game. He wasn't any attempt to kind of shake him or get into the lane, and kind of even just to drive and dish there. He was getting cut off pretty easily. He was not able to, turn the corner really on anybody. So I actually thought he looked a tad slow. And again,
he can really shoot though, and we already knew that.
But the shooting is, again, insane, because if he's, he's adding a little Lillard to his game and he's stepping it back. And I mean, he took some deep threes last year, but he took a couple inside the logo today. So that's a thing. That's a real thing. But I do want to see him be able to get around people, get into that lane, throw those lobs, work the pick and roll a little bit. I didn't think he was outstanding there either. So again, you're looking. I don't want to overreact to a lot of points from one any more than we do to a few points from another.
Yeah.
So that. What I will say, people are here asking in the chat. We'll talk a little bit more about this game, and we will as well address a few other things going on with the team. Marcus Smart. And his contract extension, Fournier, some Kemba Walker stuff, Dennis
Cantor,
Schroeder. So there's a few team-related things to talk about. But, guys, other observations here. We did get to see the second-round pick a little. And so, again, first time ever. What do you, impressions?
I like him. He's definitely got a shooting floor to him, which you're not sure, because usually the athletic guys who break out and do a ton in transition and are really like burst heavy, he catches lobs and all that kind of stuff. You wouldn't expect those guys to have shooting floors at 18, but his shot looks good. He didn't shoot a great percentage in France last year, but the form looks good. He hit 2 in a row in the corner on open looks with good rhythm. Didn't have a great game overall.
He did hit the side of the backboard on another one, but the first couple looked good.
And then overall, it's a 2-for-4 game from 3. Defense, that was an area where Vicini wrote a lot about his game. It's shocking with his tools how shaky he is on defense. He really got shoved inside and couldn't body wise stay in front of guys when they were driving him to the rim. So I don't know. There's a long way to go for his game to reach NBA level, it looks like. But there's a few things you like: the physique and the shooting floor, I'd say.
So really surprising how big he was, right?
Yeah, he's an NBA size. I would say the only thing was, the whole thing that he was basically told Brad, he's like, I want to play on the team because I want to prove that I could, roll with these guys.
That was interesting, huh? It didn't sound like, there's a little bit of a language barrier there with that presser, but he didn't sound like he wants to be stashed. That didn't seem like something he's interested in.
Yeah, but I would say just on top of that, I didn't feel like this guy didn't belong on the court. So, I guess that's a good thing. He kind of proved that he can, roll with this level of of skill, I guess you could say, summer league type player. So I mean, it was a second round. Took a stab at it. We'll see where it goes. I really don't have a whole lot to say on him, but like Bobby said, he hit those 2 shots, and got a little size to him too. So can't hate on that.
I thought what he was trying to convey the most throughout that press conference was that he has some versatility to his game. But I think what looked best, at least in this first outing, was his outside shot. He just looked really comfortable out there in his shot and his technique, and that guy you can rely on in the corner. Obviously, he's raw and it's too early to say if that's going to be consistent, but I think that's what stood out the most.
Wouldn't mind him playing in Maine if he wants to. There's more money overseas, but if he wants to be closer and have some opportunities to come up at certain points in the season, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. They got a 2-way spot open. Probably not a ton of playing time, and that 2-way deal really doesn't pay you much. I think it's $77,000 base pay. So he might just end up saying, all right, I'll go back to Paris, maybe play in the upper division, because he was only in the 2nd division in France. So that's probably what you want to see out of him, is him go back there and play at the highest level and really show something. But he has risen quite quickly through the ranks in terms of like tournaments and different things that he's done overseas. He's 18, and to have this kind of build at 18 is really impressive. You don't see many like young prospects have this kind of frame. So I don't know. He's just a flyer at 45, and if it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. And there was some good returns here, I'd say, in the first game.
Yeah, that was fine. So what do we got? We got Tuesday now?
Yeah.
So program
I don't
note.
know who it is.
What time?
Note.
Is it a day game? Do we
Bobby, do you
what
know?
time the game?
Yeah, I think it might be a 7.
7.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Program note, Bobby Manning heading out there to cover Summer League for CLNS Media. Sherrod Blakely out there right now. Sherrod may join us. He's in some interviews right now, but he does want to jump on the show. So we'll get his take from being down there, from having a courtside view of the game and the action, and get his insights. We will definitely revisit the game again and get some more thoughts from Sherrod once he joins. But let's get into some of the other
Bobby
news.
takes Vegas, huh?
Bobby's doing it.
Wow.
Oh,
You nervous?
look
You a
out.
little nervous, dude?
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be a lot, but I really want to do it. I'm excited to do
gonna
it.
be
So.
a
Bobby,
lot.
you don't say that out
fall
loud.
into temptation, Bobby. Don't fall into temptation.
You should be nervous. It's Vegas is if you've never been, it's like fake life over there. You walk down the street like, this is America? It just looks
It's the strangest thing in the world. Like you're home clipping coupons, deciding and buying the mac and cheese at 30 cents cheaper than the other one. And then you go there and you're just like, should I put 3 of these $25
Should I let it
chips
ride?
down or 5 of them down? And you're just flip it. It means nothing. You won't eat at a restaurant because it's too expensive, and you go to a steakhouse there and you spend $345 on a meal, and you're
Right.
like, what did I just do? It's just funny money. It's bizarre. In
I think I'll
addition,
stay.
it's
I think I'll
crazy.
stay in the arena.
You'll end up at a beach club. No, you'll end up at a beach club at some point, Bob.
Yeah.
I better hear some stories.
and all of that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
Me
I
and
better hear some
Sherrod.
stories,
Look
dude.
out for me and Sherrod out there. That'll be a killer combo.
danger.
I was at I was there once for summer league, and I rolled up to a craps table, and I didn't realize it until I looked at everybody who was there. And Kenneth Farid was at the table, and he was at I was at the $5 table, and he was at the $5 table, and he was actually getting pissed about losing little
Man,
hands. This is on his rookie year, I think. So this is a while back, and now I'm sure he's at different tables now.
That's when he
But,
blew up. Didn't he blow up his rookie year? Or was that his second
yeah,
year?
this is summer league, so it's before
He was a big deal early on in his career. I'll be
before
looking
he
out
was.
for Tatum and Brown. Apparently, are going to be spending much of the
Best
week out
buddies.
there.
They hang out once every 365 days, and they're the best of friends. This proves
Welcome,
it.
guys.
Dude, I got people DMing me being like, you guys say they weren't friends. I'm like,
This was the
Dude,
ultimate
you guys
revenge
buying
photo.
this PR stunt?
I'll say this, and then we'll move on. The people out there taking a victory lap and tweeting out this photo and saying "see" are the same idiots that friggin' posted screen caps of Kyrie Irving laughing on the bench.
Oh, they
during
hate each other?
blowouts to be like, oh look, they hate each other. Okay, so just
You
You don't know any more. You don't know any more than anyone else knows.
Good to
this
see
is-
something, though, right?
This is
Hey,
Ime
I'm glad to
Udoka.
see them supporting each other.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
all for it,
yeah.
man.
I'm
Hell.
all for it, but don't make it seem like don't give us the C, you guys. They're great friends.
Yeah, right. Just pump the brakes on that. Like honestly, the
This is
Celtics
Ime-
broadcast played it well. I thought they were like, look, they're not the best friends. We know this. They're wildly different people. They don't hang out a lot, but they respect each other. That's literally it.
Sure.
Like that's
That's all
the
we
actual
wanted.
story.
That's
Right.
fine.
In my opinion, this is Ime Udoka forming
Team bonding.
a group text message and being like, "Hey guys, you guys gonna do this? You guys gonna do that?" It's like, all right, coach.
It is
like, one of those
interesting
things where it's
'cause-
just like you're in the group chat already, so it's just like, yeah, all right, sounds good. Like
That's a
this is
good
great.
point, Josue,
This is
because
great for the team. Good.
those congratulation tweets from Brown and Smart kind of came out in rapid succession. You know, they were just like one after another. It was
Yes.
like congrats.
Have
the
each
next
other's
day,
back.
right around the
Yes.
same time. It wasn't like, you know,
Congratulations
right after.
to insert player name here on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
No, that
No, you
was
know what, though?
interesting.
It was good to see Jaylen Brown show up at the summer league game today too. You know, he's supporting his teammates, so that's a leadership that you want
I
to see.
do
so.
I think what Josue said there is very important. I do think that could be Ime moving and
Yes.
shaking behind the scenes to try to change that narrative a little bit,
Yep.
that there's some division here within the room.
Just show right, but it's not even division. Just show support. Like you
Show
know,
support.
just show it outward. Like front facing stuff matters. You know, like show support. Show that you're united.
Show
have
some-
each other's back. Do it on the court. Do it with your tweets. Do it with everything.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. Like you should do that. That's the whole thing. Is we're not looking for clues of
Doing
like
it on the reg,
hating
right?
each other. There's just no clues of liking each other. Not
Right.
enough. That stuff is so easy to do, even if you don't mean it. Like that stuff should be just part of like the PR campaign. Guys, do all of these things because it's going to look good. And
Exactly.
also, it's a good message to your teammates when you show they're looking up to you
Exactly.
guys.
Right.
And
So
you know
that's
what's
my
next?
thing.
matters.
You know what's next, in my opinion? You know what's next? It's probably gonna happen in media day. Celtics pride. Show some Celtics pride.
Thank
Hey,
you. That's
all
what I
of
was
that,
about to say.
Celtics. Hey, we love it here. This is Boston. We believe in this organization. Maybe not to that extent, but just say, hey,
No,
you know,
to that extent,
this is-
literally.
This is Celtics pride. We're coming back. We're upset about a first round knockout. You know, a lot of things happened last year that you guys don't understand, and we're going to prove to you all that we're one of the top teams in the East still.
That was my
What you
concern.
don't
That was my
want-
bigger concern. Is not
Yeah,
ooh, Tatum and
some
Brown liking
pride.
each other. It's Tatum and Brown liking the Celtics organization. That's what I really care about. Like, because it didn't
Right.
feel like anybody was interested in this organization at the end of last season. Like from the president down to the last guy on the roster. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not really
And-
looking for like
Right.
did they have a sleepover. I want to know if they actually like love the Celtics.
Yeah, multiple
Right.
things.
You don't
Love
have
the
to go
Celtics and
crazy on
love
social media, but geez. just
two
show.
things. Love the Celtics, love playing with each other. Nobody
Right.
gives a shit if they're best buddies. But you want to believe that Tatum doesn't want to unlink from Brown and vice versa for their careers because they view like these two as like we're the unit that you're going to come join. What you
Right.
don't want is them to start kind of looking elsewhere. That's all you want. You want them to be tied together the whole time. That's the number one most important thing. It doesn't
Yeah, like
matter
Steph and Clay.
if they're best buddies. You just want them joined, in whatever way possible. And you want to hear them say it. Like this guy and me and this guy together, blah, blah, blah. We would do all of this stuff. That's the most important thing by far. They don't have to take pictures at the club. It doesn't matter. Like you just want them to want to play with each other for the rest of their careers. And ideally you want to see it here. So
Listen, it's
Just
great.
sit at the
It's
same lunch table. They don't have to sit at the same lunch table every day. But just
it's
show
great that
each other
yeah.
out every once in a while. Dap each other up every once in a while.
It's great that Tatum, Team USA won the gold, and Tatum was a big part of that. But there's a little sliver of me that's like, it's not really a Celtics thing. It's a country thing, and it's
me
an
and my
individual.
all-star buddies.
Exactly. It's kind
Me
of
and
like that.
KD. Look what KD and I did.
I want him to represent the Celtics like with that win, but I know it's not
With the gold
that
medal.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on.
Anyway, glad we got that out of the way.
Yeah, but that cracked me up. I couldn't wait. I was like 3, 2, 1. Tweet.
Yeah.
See. Oh my god, it was so ridiculous.
Goodman took some heat.
Goodman did. I was just going to say that.
Goodman took fire.
Goodman's just probably mowing his lawn, having a little Sunday, and
Goodman's like, bring it. Like
Oh, he's
So
here
funny.
for that. He wants all the smoke.
he's ready for it.
Let's throw this one out here. This happened during the week, which was just perplexing city. So this is our first broadcast since free agency, in which time the Celtics did nothing.
And still haven't.
They signed Cantor.
We have to talk about that. We have to do a little section on that. We'll get to it.
We can get to Cantor, but
the value of that contract's not bad.
That's fine, but look, and Bobby's pointed this out. It's freaking ridiculous that they got rid of Cantor.
All right, we'll do Cantor now. Go.
I mean, it's ridiculous that they got rid of him to bring in Thompson, only to get rid of Thompson to bring Cantor back. But
it's absolutely ridiculous. Not to mention, everyone's forgetting.
It's a silly-looking signing.
Everyone's forgetting.
Even if it works.
They never played Cantor when he was on the team. I think it was maybe me and John. We're like, why isn't Cantor get in there? And and Bobby would say, oh, well, because you can't play defense. You can't play defense. Well, guess what? He still can't play defense.
Why.
But he could still grab 15 boards. So Brad would never play him.
I think a lot of it has to do with Rob, guys. There has to be an insurance policy on Rob. And obviously, it's not ideal that it's Cantor, but at least it's somebody that they know could fit the system.
No, this time
it's not.
A much different role.
It's not Rob.
And rebounding,
They got rid of Mo for nothing, and they needed to dump Tristan. It's just a body. It's a body. They needed another.
$1 million.
If they didn't lose Mo in that trade, I don't know if they
Why still can't figure that out, Mo. Yeah,
maybe not.
None of this makes sense.
Cantors. All right, so that's where I disagree. He's in a different role this time. He's making $1 million, and he's not going to play. That's the point, Jimmy. If all goes well, he doesn't play. He's a depth big who steps in if a guy's hurt, takes a night off. Maybe there's a matchup thing here or there that he can give you.
Yeah, I know he's not going to start.
Yeah, he's a pretty quality third big man when it comes down to it. I know people are throwing out the big numbers in Portland last year. He was solid for Portland. How it looks really is that you spun the wheels for a year waiting for him to come back. Not even a year. 9 months ago, they dumped him with the pick, in terms of real time here. And now he's back while dumping Thompson, who supposedly was supposed to be the upgrade on Cantor. So that's where it looks silly. Now, I get it also that you want a one-year guy, and pretty much everybody in this market went for 2 years. So this was probably the best available player, period, who would take 1 year and short money. It just happens to be the guy that you dumped with Desmond Bane 9 months ago. So that's why the team has to at least look at it and acknowledge, all right, if we're going to have an opening press conference for this guy and wave the flag, it's going to look a little weird here.
Someone writes, Cantor is a WWE champion.
Yeah, I
generally like Cantor. John does too.
It's
just
you hated Cantor, so don't even start.
I like him in this role.
We have the receipts. We have all the receipts.
So last time he was here, Rob wasn't really playing, right?
All right. Jimmy's favorite stat is what? What's Jimmy's stat?
PER, baby.
Jimmy loves PER. Where was
PER,
Cantor league-wide in PER last year? Can anyone guess?
Darling.
He was way the hell up there.
20th.
I was going to say 15th.
There you go.
I think 2 years
and
ago.
Bobby says that he's not going to, the point of him is to not play him, but he likes him.
The point of him always was, and again, we argued this last year. I mean, it was Tristan was the bizarro Cantor. He can rebound. But he's atrocious. He can rebound and defend, but atrocious at offense. And Cantor can rebound both sides. They're both good offensive rebounds, both good defensive rebounds. He can rebound and score, but he's friggin' atrocious at defense. Cantor is exactly what we thought he was. Tristan was not. That was the problem. If Tristan defended like Cantor played offense, that would have been still a good signing, a valuable piece. He just sucked. He sucked at everything.
Right.
And so that was the problem, is you were basically flopping offense for defense, but roughly the same player last year, which didn't make sense to me to sell one off for parts and make your big splash Cantor in with the TP, because that was really all you had. That was all the flexibility you had, was that thing. But who knows? It turns out everybody grabbed, with mid-levels and whatever last year didn't really work. So, hold on. I think Sherrod is here. He is here. Let's bring in.
I was going to send you that message.
Sherrod Blake.
There he is.
Hey. Damn, it looks
what up, Sherrod?
What's up, fellas? What's up, fellas? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you
perfect.
Good. The one relatively cool spot in Vegas is literally right here. It was 96 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning. Are you freaking kidding me?
What else? And for a guy like Sherrod, I don't, that doesn't bode well. I would say I probably spent the first when Sherrod and I worked together at NBC, I spent the first year giving him a towel to just pat a little bit here.
Exactly.
Because,
John, you know me.
Yeah,
You know me so
I
well,
was like,
John.
I was like, Sherrod,
That's his third shirt.
You're gonna have to pat that down, buddy.
That'd be second shirt, Jimmy. Okay.
Okay,
Shirt.
second shirt.
I forget what
Okay.
year it was, but I remember you guys were out there for
But I bought a third one just in case.
I'm bringing the big
NBC
suitcase, Sherrod.
NBC Sports Boston. I remember you guys had like these like bright shirts on. I forget what year it was. It was summer league. I was like, man, it must be so hot out there that you guys had to go with the bright, bright look.
So
Someone said I'm gonna need SPF 90. It's true. Oh my lord.
Yeah,
Sherrod,
Bobby's gonna.
give us something we
gonna
don't
roast.
know from the game today. We just came off the game. We started talking free agency stuff. But what were some of your observations there? Your top takeaways from the summer league game?
Well, I think the one thing that everyone is going to talk about is obviously the way that Jan played. He was really good. But what we learned in the postgame was that all the players had basically their individual plans for them to execute in summer league, and Jan did exactly what they were hoping for. Just be a guy that could come in there, bring energy, really make his presence felt, and didn't necessarily need to score to do that. He was obviously the star of the show. I thought, Romeo, after I thought a really slow start, he delivered when it mattered most, and that was one of the things that Coach Mazzella talked about afterwards, was that they want to get Romeo to do a better job of making the most of his shot attempts when opportunities present themselves. And obviously, right there down the stretch, big shot that he hit, not only in terms of the game's outcome, but I think more for his confidence. Because, he really needs to get in the habit of making wide open or lightly contested shots when the shot clock is winding down or the end of the game, because you just never know if the Celtics are swinging the ball, whether it'll wind up in his hands in those situations.
Yeah, to me, Sherrod, it felt like he was forcing the issue a bit in the first half. There were some shots where the ball was moving around, and he was just sort of like, "Oh, I'm behind the arc. Coach said I gotta shoot it." Did you feel like that was his approach throughout? But then, of course, in the second half, he settled down a bit more, especially on the offensive end.
I think some of that is true, but I think also part of the problem or the issue is that there were so many other guys that they're trying to get a look at, and they kind of know who Romeo is, and they really have very specific things they need him to get better at. And I do think he was forcing the issue a little bit, but again, to me, it always comes down to what do you do when the game matters most? What are you able to deliver in that critical, pivotal moment? And he was able to come through. Same thing for Peyton Pritchard, because Pritchard was the one that had a great pass, to him that set that shot up. And he was another guy that was much better in the second half than he was in the first.
Sherrod, let me ask you. You say everyone's got to focus. What is Romeo's focus? I know they talked about using him more as a primary ball handler this year, and you did see some. There were some times where it looked like he had a bit of a loose dribble, and there are other times where he was able to get into the lane and to make some things happen. So a mixed bag in terms of that front. But, do you have an idea what each of these guys' marching orders was? What is Romeo's mission? Because we talked about,
what was Romeo's marching orders? Yeah.
No, because at home you want to see – at home the reaction is – and
just
we
chill.
talked about this at the beginning is – we want to see guys like Romeo Nesmith dominate, because you want to see that they're a level above these guys in the Vegas League, because they're going to be asked upon to be rotation players. But if they have specific jobs to do or specific roles, that changes the context of evaluating their performance. So what is it you think they most want to work on with Romeo?
Well, with Romeo, I think, as I just said, him making open shots. Because if Tatum and Brown are doing the things that we expect them to do, that's going to create opportunities for guys like Romeo who are on the floor to make shots that are wide open. And so for him, that I think is one of the primary things they're looking to do. But more than anything else, John, and you touched on it a second ago, he does have what I would consider a little bit of a loose dribble. And I think he needs to tighten that up a bit. And I think that's something that they're certainly looking to work on, not only in the summer, but also in preseason training camp. But as far as Romeo is concerned, I think for his first game in summer league, he did, for the most part, what they were hoping that he would get accomplished. And to me, again, that shot that he hit at the very end, those are the kind of shots that Romeo wouldn't either not be on the floor in that moment, or he'd be on the floor and nowhere near the ball. So he needs to become more comfortable, not just taking that shot, but also making it. And he did that today.
What about Nesmith? Your impressions there? And again, just to share what we said on the front end, our vibe, again, with Nesmith was he still looks bull in a china shop-ish at a game and playing in a game that you wouldn't expect. You understand NBA with no training camp, coming out of half a season at college, to be too fast. And you would it explained why he was running around and he looked lost and crazy at times last year. Effort was there, but he was all over the map. You don't expect to see him carry that play over into summer league, and he did kind of look like the same guy.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this was just one of those games for him, and that he will get better as we go along this summer. Because you're right, he looked exactly like what we saw in the regular season, and that's not good. That is not good. That doesn't give the Celtics what they're going to need from him. They're going to need him to make shots, which he did not do a good job of. They're going to need him to make hustle plays, not just hustle plays, but like under control hustle plays. He's great energy-wise, but he does seem to be a bit out of control, and it felt that way for long stretches in this game. So he needs to really – that's part of what his, I think, plan going forward is, to refine that energy and effort, refocus it so that he's making plays that make the team better, not just making plays because they're effort plays. Because as we all know, every effort play is not a good one.
Right. So you want to see it slowed down. Right.
Yeah.
Guys, questions for Sherrod?
Yeah, I was going to go the Yam direction. So Yam's still not on the roster. Saw some flashes today. I honestly thought as a creator, which is what they wanted Pritchard to kind of show out here in the summer league, he looked better in that capacity than Pritchard did, even though Pritchard had a good shooting game. So to you, is there a chance that Yam could have not only a roster spot here, but a real role on this team next year?
I don't think that he's going to have a real role with the team. This was a great start. But I still think that his size, and I'm not talking about length, I'm just talking about his physical dimension. He's a skinny guy. I don't think that's going to help him. In fact, it'll be more of a detriment, if anything, once you get your guard. You have to go against guys like Marcus Smart, guys like, even freaking Steph Curry, could play bully ball with him, I think, at this point.
It always hurts your chances.
Yeah, so I think that's going to keep him from, really having a significant role. But listen, his understanding of the game, his IQ, that is really
awesome.
Legit. It's legit. I mean, he did this one move, and it's so subtle that I know the coaches will probably point this out, but the average fan, it just didn't make sense, and you wouldn't even pick up on it. He gave this like jab step, like he was going to set a screen, and he just pulled back towards the baseline. They passed him the ball. He had a wide open baseline jumper. That's something that coaches can't coach. That is something that you as a basketball player have an IQ for that, or you don't. Little things like that, I think, are going to help him make the roster. But again, I just don't think physically speaking, he's going to be able to make much of an impact.
And that's the thing, because he's a 94-foot player, like he's there, he pesters you, he wants to get up on the ball handlers, but you saw it a couple times, he came up against a screen and it was boing, like it's definitely the physical, and I'm just talking not even full contact on it, just brushing up against bodies, and he gets knocked off his stride. He definitely needs to, he needs more of that man strength, right now.
Right, yeah. And I would love for him to be on a team where he could get that experience. He could work with the Celtics. He could be up in Maine and going back and forth and just gradually physically get bigger and do that within the confines of the Celtics system. And I think that, to me, that's one of my biggest draws to him having one of those roster spots, is that he gives you someone that you can literally develop who, from a basketball IQ standpoint, I don't think you have to do much tinker with that, but he physically has to get stronger, and you can control that if you're the Celtics much better than you can if he's here than if he's overseas.
Yeah, he can ball, man. Any other takeaways?
I like his game.
The people you talk to, any insights, whether it be for this game? Did you get to talk to Ime as well?
No, the way that I'm not even going to get into just how the interviews. It's very different in summer league than we've done in previous years, and I'm not going to get into that because right now. I'm going to put in effect my Rasheed Wallace "both teams played hard" mantra. Both teams played hard. Anything you ask me about that would be my response. Both teams played hard.
Fair enough.
Marcus Smart getting traded or what? What's going on with that? Marcus getting traded?
What's that?
Wait, hold on.
Getting traded?
Hold on. Okay.
I can't even hear what
Jimmy
was saying. Josue was being a smart ass, I know. But
Jimmy, go ahead.
Anyway.
I have a question more about the game and the roster, but it feels like Peyton Pritchard's going to have a bigger role this season, obviously, based on the fact that Kemba Walker's gone and whatever. Are you sensing that he's sort of taken on a little bit of a leadership role with this summer league team, and do you get the sense that they're really trying to work him up into a bigger role heading into the season here?
I think Peyton is working himself up into a bigger role for this upcoming season. I think he understands that when he looks around, there just aren't that many playmakers on this roster. And that's what he does. And we talked to him post game, and one of the things he did touch on a little bit was that in those late game type situations, he's been in so many of those at Oregon, and even before that. And so there's a comfort level that he has in those moments where he knows that if the shot is there, he's going to take it. If the pass is there, he's going to take it. His whole thing is, I need to make the right decision in those moments. And that's what this summer league is about for him. The play that he made for Romeo, he could have easily forced the action and try to go to the hole and do something to get his own shot. But he recognized that I can draw the defense to me. Romeo can be wide open. I'm going to trust my teammate to make the shot. And those are the moments that he has to amplify in summer league. He has to consistently bring that type of thought to the game. And I think he will.
That's the thing with Pritchard. What's interesting is, you bring him in here and you're like, all right, he should be the backup point guard. You want to see him run the point, run the offense. But really what he is a scorer, first and foremost. And that's his number one thing. And right, you want to see him make the right play. But he really is a guy who I see coming off the bench. And basically you want to see him shoot 5, 6, 7 times per stint. You want to see him go out there, try to get hot and try to do the things. It's almost kind of what you thought Carson Edwards might be if he translated to the NBA level. But that's kind of what Pritchard really is here, is go score, go shoot, go be the guy.
You like him shooting
unit and score a bunch.
Right.
That's his value.
And the thing about him is that because he has been, he's played for a number of years against pretty good caliber competition, he understands the value of decision making. Like, he understands that, yes, I can score, yes, I can pass, but sometimes I need to pick one or the other. And I think you look at a guy like Carson Edwards, he's looking to get buckets. That's just who he is. And again, for me, and I think a lot of people, it's kind of frustrating at times when you could make a great pass or you could take a decent but not so great shot. And more times than not, he's going to take that damn shot.
And that's the worry. Like, my biggest worry, and we were talking about before you came on, Sherrod, is that, all right, if this was a year ago and you had a little more depth, or even 2 years ago where you had much more depth, you wouldn't be relying on these guys this year. But for Pritchard, he's the backup point guard behind Smart. Like, he's got to be trusted with decision-making and these sort of things. And Romeo's your rotation wing, and right down the list here with all these guys, they're essentially backups, all 3 of these core guys that are playing here. So I don't know. Like, to me, it just didn't look like there was enough separation to show you that, like, all right, these guys are ready for big-time NBA roles and solid rotation spots, because they're not even separated much from this class of G League players and rookies down there in Vegas right now. Like, there wasn't a great sense of separation. Did you see that too?
No, yeah. It's close, but it's one game, so you can't put too much stock in it one way or the other, whether they drop 40 or they drop 4. I think that there was enough signs that indicate that Peyton Pritchard, for example, is looking to be more of a playmaker. And he's worked on his jump shot, and I think he probably took a few too many jump shots early on. I thought he was just kind of chucking it there in the first half.
Is he a little too big?
A little too big for what?
He looked a little too stocky and a little slow, I thought. I don't know if he's still playing his way into shape. He definitely didn't look like he had a couple
of vacations.
Didn't look like he had a great first step. Wasn't able to really kind of shake anybody off the dribble.
Those sausages at Fenway Park, man.
He did. People forget. He did drive a bit not forget, but he would take it to the hole. He didn't look like he could get there. He definitely settled on his jumper, but he looked a little, I want to say chunky, but he looked stocky and like maybe a shade slower than I remember him.
Yeah, he didn't look like he was in the greatest of shape.
Okay.
From what we saw.
That's what I thought. I'm trying to be nice.
I wouldn't put him in the John Bagley category of point guards. He's not there.
He's
not there, but he definitely.
John, he's been taking his girl out. He's been going on dates.
I can't be mad at him though. We're in the middle of August. You just finished your damn season. Now they want you to start playing back up again with no real downtime.
Yeah.
I think he'll be fine.
Damn this year-round job that they're asking me to do.
Yeah.
For me, I'm more concerned with his decision making, because I think the body that's going to come in time. I'm not worried about that. Yeah. It's his decision making that I need to see him continue to get better at. And I thought today's game was a good start in that direction.
Love the Bagley reference. Love the string of outstanding point guards that we were treated to. If you grew up in this area, Bagley, Michael Adams, Dana Barrows, it just kept going. But Bags,
Yeah.
Dana Barros.
Meta fans own.
My man,
Bags is
Kenny
great.
Anderson. I love Kenny Anderson.
yeah.
Love
So,
him.
Kenny.
He put up a Celtics pick the other day, a throwback.
Kenny
that-
loves the Celtics, man.
He does.
Kenny threw up a throwback pick of him in a Celtics warm up from like an old practice.
Kenny was Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
That's right.
The Ramblin' Wreck.
Yeah.
From
So
New York.
let me anything else here on the game before we switch to some of the offseason stuff, because I want Sherrod and everybody else's take on that too. Guys, anything more here?
I'm done with this
that's-
game.
That's about it. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Done with the game. Sherrod and Bobby in the house on Tuesday. We will bring you more post-game action
Yes,
from
sir.
there. So that should be good. But let's switch gears. We didn't want to talk about the Marcus. We talked a little about Ennis. There he is. Hi, Ennis.
Yeah. Can
we
we just say
wanna
how
talk-
sad it is? That's the extent of Celtics free agency talk right there. Is the
We
Ennis
want to talk
manager
about the Marcus
signing.
Smart thing, okay? Because what we were saying when we started here is really we did a show last week, free agency. They did nothing outside of that Cantor signing. We got sidetracked talking about Cantor, but the point being is the idea everybody seemed to think was, okay, clearly saving money. They're not going to spend a freaking nickel, and they're just going to save it up so they can make a move for Beal or whomever next offseason, and that's that. And the idea is they're not going to re-sign Smart. They're going to renounce Rob. Hey, they might even trade Smart. There's a report out there that Brad's done with him and all of this, and then bang, out of nowhere, Celtics offering Smart the max, whatever max extension they can offer him right now, 4 and 77. I don't understand this. I don't understand how it works with the rest of their offseason plans, though I guess maybe you're saying they hedge a little. They got to have something here in case they can't get anything next offseason. Maybe they think it's a tradable contract, so they're not worried about taking it on. But I don't understand how you do this and you don't re-sign Fournier. I don't think Fournier was that much money, truth be told, at the end of the day. I don't think that contract was a huge albatross either. So I don't understand the plan, Sherrod. Do you have any – first off, what do you think's going on here with Marcus? And two, do you understand what the Celtics are doing?
Well, let me just start with Marcus. I think the Celtics are realizing that, Marcus, he's the best you got, and maybe very well become the best you can get. And so rather than risk losing that and getting nothing in return, which is very possible, you try to put together a deal that I think he's comfortable with. And frankly, with the salary cap going up certainly next year, that contract isn't going to be nearly as much of an albatross a year from now than it would be right now. And because of that, John, he becomes someone that if you're looking to move him, it becomes a lot easier because the money is much more movable than the $13 million that he's making this year. Because right now, at that kind of money, you're not going to get anything remotely close to fair market value or even a deal done. And so his contract, it benefits him financially. It benefits the Celtics because it does become a little bit more movable, I think, going forward, as far as getting something of comparable value in return. And again, it goes to me. I don't think they're convinced that they're going to get something better than that on the free agent market.
Yeah, I think it does a variety of different things here. Obviously, it placates him and his role in the team that we've talked about. He's got an expiring contract, and there's all this look ahead to next year and Beal and whatever. It does kind of undermine his spot on the team in the short term and long term. So there'd be a benefit to that. We all knew that the squeeze to get a player like Beal in free agency would be so tight that you'd lose numerous players. So you probably want to set up a trade and a sign and trade or even a mid-season trade if you were going to go that route rather than just gutting the roster and trying to squeeze in his salary, because then you don't have any cap holds or any way to bring in players of significant salary. So it makes sense in that regard too. The question is if you don't get Beal and if all of a sudden you're just hedging against Smart's long-term standing on the team, is a core Smart, Tatum, and Brown going forward going to be something that improves or grows together? Because, I think we've kind of seen what Smart is as a player at this point. I don't think there's a whole lot of upside. So when you're giving a guy a raise, when you give a guy an extension, if your intent is to keep him here and you're paying him more, you want to see a guy like that get better. And I'm not necessarily sure there's still a ton of upside in Smart's game despite this incredible start to his career that we've seen.
Well, and the other thing you got to keep in mind is that we don't know if that contract is fully guaranteed.
Right.
And to me, that would
Good point.
be the main reason why a guy like Marcus would hesitate to sign something like that. Because if it's worth $77 million, but only like maybe 50 of that is guaranteed, is that really in your best interest to sign that contract? Wouldn't you be better off hitting the free agent market and maybe getting like a 4-year 56 or
Murphy-
$60 million.
Murphy
Right.
also said they are coming in a little lower than the max. I think they're coming in at about 69, actually, is what he clarified.
So it's gone back and forth. I've
Yeah.
seen that it was 77 at the max. I've also seen that it's closer to that 17 average. And that was my thought too, is one of two things. It's a hedge against not getting what you want, not being able to pull off a trade, not getting Beal, not being able to spend that max money next offseason, get left with nothing. So that would be number one. But two, and it might be a combo platter between the two, is you make Marcus a deal that you're supremely comfortable with, or perhaps, and this is a little conspiracy theory in me, perhaps a deal that he can't accept. And you wonder how much of this was bad PR, where it's like, wow, they won't spend a nickel and they're really cheap and X, Y, and Z is going on. It's like, all right, let's put it out there. Marcus, we're bringing him back, right? Because again, I just don't understand. Everyone here is saying, oh, fake news, Mannix's report, blah, 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 discontent with Smart. We're not here to talk about where reporters reported what's true or not, but it does seem like people can't really settle in on whether or not the Celtics are committed to Marcus Smart or not. And that's what makes the whole thing really perplexing. Do they want him here? Do they not want him here? Do they think he makes them better? Do they want him to be their starting point guard? Do they want to clear the cap table and have extra money? I can't figure it out. Like, the reporting on Smart this offseason was he's the teacher's pet, and people resent that he gets away with a ton of stuff, and Brad lets him get away with murder, and Brad can't stand him and wants him off the team because he's erratic. No, wait, they're going to re-sign him. Okay, again, it's easy to shout fake news, but I have no idea, where they land in terms of how they view him right now.
Well, the one thing I try to come back to is just what makes the most sense, like what's logical, and for the Celtics to offer him a contract that has the ability to not be fully guaranteed makes a lot of sense, because that will appease him in the short term, because a lot of that money will be up front. It appeases the Celtics fan base because they love Marcus. It appeases the organization because it doesn't put you on the hook long term with him. And here's another fact that you got to keep in mind. If they are going to, let's say, try to make a run at Bradley Beal next summer, and let's say Bradley says, I want to come to Boston, you got to have assets to make that happen. You got to have money to make that work. Marcus Smart making a little bit more money for this upcoming season, yeah, it may help you get that done.
That's the thing, though, but it's a matter of time, and you're right. That length matters, and the guarantees matter, because, what I don't understand is if you're a team that has decided I no longer want my best player, do you want to take anybody on a 4-year contract who isn't a young and up and comer with potential to turn into a star? It just seems like it doesn't seem like a lot of NBA money. It seems like stupid money for a team that's in a rebuild to take on. So I don't understand how that works in a Beal trade scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you look at the Marcus Smart situation, you're wondering how much of this whole pursuit for Bradley Beal has to do with him putting out the report that he wants around $80 million. I mean, we don't know if that's him or his people, or who's putting that out there, or sources, or whatever the case may be. But maybe Marcus is in the space of saying that, look, I'm not in on that plan, and I want to get paid. And Lonzo Ball, what he got out there, I'm worth just as much, or maybe not, if not around that vicinity. And if I'm not part of this plan, if I'm not part of this, the future long term, then let's just cut ties now, instead of me having to go through this quote unquote bridge year, and you get Bradley Beal, and I end up not having a say in where I want to go next year.
Well, here's the other factor too. We said all along, like, the Celtics have to have a good sense that Beal's coming if they're going to go down this road here. This could also show that maybe they're not 100% certain, and they have to start to try to retain their pieces here a little bit, because what have we said all along? They've lost Kyrie, they've lost Horford, they've lost this, that. The most recent one's Fournier. If you go into the next summer and lose Smart after all of those guys, you have nothing left in terms of solid player assets.
Yeah, they're hemorrhaging NBA talent. And
Mark could just been not like the situation and just leave for the sake of leaving next year if you don't wrap him
just
up.
wants to leave. Who knows? Like, it wouldn't shock me. If he's not all in on this plan, why not? Why wouldn't he say to himself,
what plan?
I'm for me to go. The plan to get Bradley Beal, or to get
he's not part of that plan.
The plan to get Bradley Beal is not good for Marcus if he wants to stay here.
No, and that's the scary part.
I don't
about
think he
next
wants
year,
to
the
buy
one
into
thing
that plan. I think he'll take a pass on that plan. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
exactly.
Plan B.
How much enthusiasm is there going to be on this roster next year with such a orchestrated showing that they're bridging to something here, whether it's Beal or something else? It's a really risky proposition. I think extending a guy is really a big step in terms of showing that, all right, we're making a commitment.
If there's transparency from ownership on down to the players that matter, and you're like, guys, I'm going to be real with you. We're stuck this year. We're building towards your future, but it may result in a step back this year. I need you to smile, not pout, not look around and say we need help and throw your hands up and start huffing and puffing.
You can do that with the Jays. Can you do it with Marcus?
I think that's a question. That's a legitimate question.
You can if you resign him. You can if you resign him.
What, you sign him up for the program to be traded? I don't think he'd be in on that.
Well,
no, you're just saying,
giving him the money.
You're giving him the money. He's at least got some certainty. But if you tell them that and they're on board, you can do that. There wouldn't be the first team ever that's had a bridge year in the middle of people's prime. I think people overreact immediately, which is like, you can't have another bad year. You can, as long as these guys don't start looking for the door. So, and you're looking for the exit. If they're on board with it and they understand and they're down with your vision, you actually have a vision, or if wink, wink, they know that Beal is going to friggin' stomp his feet and make his way over here and they're down with that, whatever it is, then it's fine. But if they're not on board and they're kind of not lied to, but misled, and we're going to blah, blah, blah. And, look what happened. The Red Sox don't make a trade at the deadline and everyone's like, the whole team quit because they didn't make a trade. And, if the players feel like ownership doesn't have their back or they think one thing is happening versus another, that's bad.
We saw it in 2019 with the Davis situation. It's almost the same thing here.
Yeah. A little bit. And you get a dead man walking sort of vibe too when you think everyone's about to go. It is a weird situation. If you're building, it was the same shit with Anthony Davis that year.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah.
And then he comes in with the That's All Folks t-shirt.
Yeah.
77
awesome.
Yeah, that
was awesome.
That was horrible.
People are messing up the Marcus conversation because when people are reacting to the deal, it's not that people think $17 million is a lot of NBA money these days. It's not. It's just, you wanted to spend it here? I thought you were saving to spend it elsewhere. So again, I don't fully understand the plan. Why would you not have then made a move and re-signed Fournier and tried to make yourself better now?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. If you,
I don't fully get that.
If you're not in on the cap space thing that they've been doing here, and you're going to get rid of it,
then why not sign people? Why not sign other people?
Yeah, I guess that probably just speaks to how much they like Fournier, I guess. Like, they didn't see a value in re-signing him and committing big tax money to him, which is really what we're talking about here now, right? Because they're in the tax, barely, but with Fournier, you're in the tax. You're really in there in ways they haven't been since the Big Three, because his whole salary was what was gonna really thrust them in that direction. So it's a big difference between paying, like, I don't know, probably $1 million in tax like they are right now to doubling Fournier's salary in taxes potentially. Because what would he be making? 17? He got $20 million from the Knicks, right? So that's $40 million in real money for Fournier about. So that's probably what scared them off the Fournier front.
And right, and along those lines, it always comes back to this: you spend money to win a championship if you're the Celtics. That's the thing. And paying him that kind of money wasn't going to get it done. So why do it? Why would you spend that kind of money, go that deep into the tax when at best you're probably maybe 4, 5, 6 seed in the East? That's a waste of money. It doesn't make you better. You lose. You're not going to be any better, significantly better with the deal. You're going to lose a shitload of money. And so, what exactly is the problem in just saying thanks but no thanks to that?
Well, it goes back to trading for him originally, because I think it was B-Rob who wrote something about this, how they basically wasted the Hayward trade exception on him, and they didn't, and by using up as much as they did at the deadline.
Yeah, you would have been able to take Horford on a TPE, gotten a Kemba TP that would have been the value of Beal, and you potentially would have had a TP that could have fit Beal in here,
right?
Via trade,
30-something TPE for Walker if you traded into the So again,
so it's just a string of just weird decisions. They just continue to keep occurring.
Yeah. Weird. And what's funny is, like, again, I hate to kick a guy on the way out the door.
I'm bummed to see him go.
But Danny post Kyrie leaving basically did everything wrong. I mean,
Is that what you're trying to say, John? He screwed them up.
He's still reeling from it.
It's been right. It was one
We
after
saw
the
it
other.
play out
after
on
the
the
other,
court
after the other.
tonight. Those 2019 picks.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, we did. Yeah, yeah.
And everything, they're still holding on to a lot of that. They've let certain guys go. We talked about the Cantor thing, how that's a bit of a spinning of the wheel there where they had him, they dumped him, they dumped Thompson afterwards.
gave Tice away for nothing. The guy's signing 4-year deals now,
Yeah.
Just because of the tax. And again, that's a restraint that we have to talk more and more about, ownership's seeming aversion of the tax here over the last couple of years. They're in it now, but they're really not in it. And was that the biggest motivating factor this offseason in terms of coming in?
They're in it as of now, but I'm sure they can find a way to not be
No,
in
they
it.
might, you might bump out a Fernando and bring in Yam on like 900,000.
Well, that's what worries me is you trade, you start giving away who knows what, it could be, you throw, and again, we're not saying he's the end all be all, but they just throw Romeo in on a deal because they want to shed the $5 million there. It's just it's fine. You're not expecting this guy to be Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, but it's just you're just shedding things along the way. Just for
Wouldn't that be done?
Saving a buck or two,
Here's the argument for Fournier, as we look at a possible Smart extension coming in here, is that maybe you eat that first big salary year. You're not quite contending for a championship this year, but whatever you put in the place next year via sign and trade or whatever, maybe you could include Fournier in that. Maybe Fournier could still be here after that as part of a Beal core, whatever they're going to do here. Because let's face it, you may love him, you may hate him, but he's an NBA starter, and the Celtics don't have a lot of those on their roster here, and they've been siphoning talent. I thought he fit really well with the Jays, Tatum in particular, as an off-ball shooter. The Knicks also got him with a non-guaranteed 4th year, which really took
Is it 4th or 3rd? Is it the 3rd or the 4th year?
4th. So it's 60 guaranteed, and you can opt out of the final 20. So
it's
it really
a team option.
Look.
Yeah,
team option. Yeah.
It's not bad at all. And that's the thing is we had a discussion all offseason. If you can only sign one, Smart or Fournier, which one do you sign? I'm surprised it's Smart and not Fournier. I am. I really am. I mean, I know the team needs a point guard. I know, sure. I know the team needs a point guard. In a perfect world, as I said, is the best thing to do is spend into the tax and just live with it. You won't be a title contender, but that's the best team you're going to have for now, and then figure out later. If you're going to trade,
especially since you don't if you're going to try to build some momentum towards something here, you can't have this year where the bench is bad and you're really struggling for scoring and production, all these different things. It can't be another year like last year, because how are you going to have a year like last year and say, Beal, you excited to come? Look at what we got going on here. We won the play-in game again. That's what confuses me in this sense. Because sure, you want to give the young players a chance here, as we saw in Summer League today, and let them rise to the level they're capable of. You want to have this open space to get Beal here and the flexibility to do that. But you have a season ahead of you here. You can't just lose a season or have a sense that you're looking past this year to do something later. Remember, I said this last week, 2016 wasn't great, but it was better than 2015, and you showed progress, and Horford looked at it and said, all right, there's something building here. I'm going to come join this. You can't have a year worse than 2016 here in Boston and expect to get Beal, in my mind.
Yeah, maybe not. So that's where we're at here. We just lost Josue. We may or may not get him back. Sherrod Blakely, as we said, in Vegas, doing his thing. He's going to be there all week long. Bobby Manning heading out there. We are going to do post-game shows because that's what we do. We do post-game shows. And we will continue to talk some cast of characters here, but it gives us something to react to, some action. You usually don't expect all of the top players to play in every game. So it is possible if we get a game where there's no Romeo, no Pritchard, no Yam, that we might bow out. But for the most part, I think we're going to be here and we're going to do something, and we'll keep talking to you guys after the games. Any closing thoughts here, whether on this game or anything from the offseason perspective? At this point, Smart is the next shoe to drop, I guess.
Schroeder. You want to kick around Schroeder for a minute?
For a minute. To me, I think, and again, we got people on the top. quick thought on Schroeder. Is that all agent driven? Is there anything to that? I don't think it's real. I think it's all agent driven buzz to try to get him signed because his market dried up fast. He was looking for something big. He didn't get it.
That's the sense I'm getting, that
Yeah.
this is something that's not something that the Celtics are pushing for or eager to get in bed with this guy. But obviously, for the right price, you'll do pretty much anything. I mean, if he said tomorrow that, hey, I'll come to Boston and I'll just take the minimum, you'll do that deal without even hesitating.
Well, yeah, I mean, they'll do
obviously
that.
that's not going to happen, but I'm saying if you can get him at a significantly discounted rate, you would at least consider it. But other than that,
if they were ever interested at all.
There's a role for him, and I think he would fit well. I mean, a guy who's a distributor,
He's what they
athletic.
need.
Yeah, I mean, he's Alonzo Ball type of a guy, on that end. And if he wants to come in here on a 1-year deal, and so he can try to maximize his money again next season, then I think that would be a win-win for both sides, because there is obviously a bit of a void at that position here in Boston. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I mean, Sherrod would know more than any of us would on whether it's agent driven or not. But I can see why at least the Celtics would kick the tires on the idea of bringing him in. And I think he makes them better. Like he feels the need. He's a player that's had a lot of success in this league. I mean, I don't know much about him personality wise, but I know that he gets He gets under players' skin out there. I know that.
I know him and Isaiah Thomas got into it.
Yeah, him and Rondo got into it. You can go down the line probably, but if he's on your team and he's giving it to the opposing team, then I'm all for that. Then having it be the other way around. So the Celtics could use a bit of an instant, I think, like that.
I like it, yeah.
I like it, but I've never believed it. The reason I didn't get into it here on the show is I really thought it was, like I said, coming from one camp and not from the Celtics, and I don't believe it's real.
I don't know what's available to him now, though, and I don't know what the Celtics would be
willing
to offer.
Might not be, but I don't even know if they ever talked. I don't know if the Celtics have any interest at all. Truthfully, I really do believe that was Schroeder's camp is like they need a point guard. Let me float some stuff there. Because it just kind of came out of nowhere.
It could be, but the Celtics don't have a ton to offer, so I don't know.
It came out minutes after the Smart stuff. They were back to back, so the timing of the two reports was also weird.
Yeah. No, you're always wondering about that kind of stuff in the offseason, but you look around the league right now in terms of available point guard minutes and available money. There's not a ton. Like, how many teams are going to hard cap themselves for him? Maybe the Celtics think about doing that since they're not going to be spending money anyway for 1 year. Maybe you give them a player option. So you say, all right, if this year doesn't work great for you, you got some more guaranteed money here. If it does, you can go out and get the big deal you're looking for next year. I think with where the Celtics are at and where Schroeder is at, it would make a lot of sense for both sides because, again, you may love him, you may hate him, but he's an NBA starter, and the Celtics don't have a ton of those right now.
No, I think that's the best they can do. I know that would be a great get for them. And it would.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy who there's a guy who turned down $80 million, potentially coming in here at $9 million. Like, that's amazing value at the end of the day here for Boston, in my mind. But who knows? Maybe
there's a lot about his decision making too, though. Unfortunately, that was a bad decision. That even at the time, you're looking at, dude, that's a bad decision.
The Lakers obviously didn't like him.
Yeah. Well, if you get that type of offer, you turn it down, I'm not going to really like you either because you're not really thinking through this process clearly.
It's like
you're not going to get that money elsewhere.
He was the sixth man of the year runner-up 2 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some real good play in his recent past.
So he was good coming off your bench. Okay, got it.
Yeah. No, and that's what he would do here. Smart,
very good.
Let Schroeder run that bench unit. We'll see.
Lead backup.
Again, you don't have roster spot right now. You got to fit Yam in here somehow. So there's a lot of stuff still floating around for the Celtics in terms of the roster right now. So I don't know.
$80 million for an elite backup, but no, you're good. I can do better than that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he got some bad advice for
sure.
So
I think we've exhausted it, guys. We did it. We did a post-game show. We did some off-season talk. We kind of did the whole thing. We did the whole thing, which was cool. As we said, Sherrod in Vegas right now. On
Sherrod, what's up tonight, man? Anything good planned?
Shirt number 2.
I'm going to watch the Cade debut in a little
Oh,
bit.
okay.
That's what I
Cade
got.
versus
Jimmy.
versus the
That'll be
world.
buzzing.
Versus the
That'll be
world.
buzzing. That'll be buzzing.
Sherrod's like, don't
Mobley,
worry,
right?
I'm doing tonight. It's Vegas. It's gonna stay here.
Yeah, he's gonna. He's just
Relax,
gonna keep it
Josue,
business
relax.
only.
Just relax.
You got
Relax.
Cade, you got
Yeah.
Mobley, and you got the Celtics former picks, Sengun there in Houston that they gave away for Kemba. So
Oh,
that's
great.
huge for everyone's watching.
So Sherrod's there. Bobby's heading out tomorrow, so we'll have reports there. From the Celtics Summer League throughout this stint in Vegas. 4 more games, so lots to talk about. We'll see what we get out of it. And the rest of us are here holding it down, and we'll be back on Tuesday for some sort of. Sherrod, what's tip off?
Tuesday?
Tuesday, that is
7,
what is
right?
that, 7?
Yeah.
Eastern? Yeah.
We can do 7. Tell everybody.
We'll go with it.
Follow us all you can on Twitter, but follow Celtics CLNS on Twitter as well. That we'll send you out notifications where we're going to go live there, and links to the post game show. Obviously, subscribe on our YouTube channels if you haven't already. But that was it. That was fun, guys. Anything to close? Or we're done.
I got nothing
the
left.
train going.
Everyone have a great Monday.
We did.
Yeah, I'm hyped.
It's Sunday.
Keep it going.
Enjoy the action, Sherrod. Thanks for hopping on. See y'all.